In this video today, you have to know the two different methods and when to use them. Okay, I want you to look at these two. 4x minus 7y equals 10 is the first equation. The second equation is y equals x minus 7. So you have to find the xy crossing point. Now you circle your equals and look for a letter by itself. You have one right here, the y. So you have a base. Okay. So when you have a base, you want to you're going to use the substitution method. Okay. So write your other equation then, the non-base. 4x minus 7y equals 10. Make that a plus negative. Now you put a parentheses around whatever letter your base is. In this case it's a y. So you scribble out y and you replace it with x minus 7. You're going to put a 1 and a plus negative. So now write your equation. You got 4x plus negative 7. Then you open your parentheses and you put 1x plus negative 7. Now you have to look after your parentheses and you have equals 10. Now you're going to solve for x. So you got a times right there and here's a plus. So rainbows. Now you drop that plus and you take negative 7 times 1x, that'd be negative 7x. Then negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. Now don't forget you have to add the 4x. Okay, so here's my equals. The x's are on the same side, so I put a v, and that means you add them, not multiply. 4 plus negative 7 is negative 3x. Then we add the 49. Equals 10. Okay. So you minus 49 from each side, and you get negative 39. You divide each side by negative 3. And then negative 39 divided by negative 3 is 13. Now pay attention to the letter. It's x. X equals 13. Okay, now to find y, use the equation that's got the y by itself. Y equals x minus 7. So you have your answer for x. Okay. Now look at this equation. You need to find your y. Your y is by itself. Okay. So you just perform the operations on the other side on a calculator or whatever. You can make that minus a plus negative. And you're just going to punch in 13 plus negative 7. That's 6. Okay. So 13 and 6. Okay, my next problem, we have 5x plus 6y equals 50. Then we have negative x plus 6y equals 26. Circle. Can you find a letter by itself? You can't, so you're not going to use the same method. You're going to use the elimination method. Okay? Elimination is when you line up your x's and y's into columns. Okay? Now, make sure that any negatives are highlighted. Now look in the x's and y's column. You need the same of something. You don't have the same for x, but you do have the same for y. So you don't need to multiply. You already have the same. You need a positive and a negative right there. Right now they're both positive. That's not going to work. So I can make this negative as long as I make the whole equation the opposite. So it goes from negative 1x to positive 1x, positive 6 to negative 6, and positive 26 to negative 26, and then we're adding, okay? See, where I have the same now, I take 6 plus negative 6, and there's my 0. So 0y, scribble it out, and don't write it again. Now you line up your equals, and you add your x's. That's a 5 and a 1, both positive. That's going to be 6x. That's a 50 and a negative 26 now. And that's 24. Now you can solve pretty easily. Dot circle, you divide by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. Now what's the letter? You got to pay attention. It's x. Now to find y when using the elimination method, you don't really have a letter by itself. So just pull up your top equation. So 5x plus 6y equals 50. So now 4 goes in for the x. Now you have to solve for y, but unlike the first problem, the y is not by itself. Okay, so we can't just go to a calculator and plug in the operations. First thing you need to do is take 5 times 4. Okay, 5 times 4 is 20. So you have 20 plus 6y equals 50. Now make your wall, and we're going to get the x by itself. So we take out the 20 by subtracting. That's 30. And then we divide each side by the 6. So 30 divided by 6 is 5. Okay, 4, 5. Okay, next problem. Negative 5x plus 3y equals 51. Y equals 10x minus 8. Equals, equals. You have x or y. Oh, we got a letter by itself. So circle it. That's the base. And you're going to use the substitution method. So you write out your off base. Negative 5x plus 3y equals 51. Now y is the base, so the parentheses goes to y. If x is the base, the parentheses goes to x. And you take out your y, and you put 10x minus 8. By the way, make that a plus negative 5, so you know that that's a negative. So plus negative 8. So we got negative 5x plus 3, parentheses, 10x plus negative 8. Now you close that, and after you close it, we have equals 51. Okay, so here's where the times occurs at. You know, 51's on that side. Here's the plus, so you take positive 3 times 10x and positive 3 times negative 8. So you drop your plus. 3 times 10x is 30x, and 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. Then you add that outside term, negative 5x. So you box up, you v your x's, and that means you're going to add, okay? So negative 5 plus 30 is 25, 25x. You know you still have equals 51, and x has added to 25. Then you still have the negative 24 that you need to add. Now you've got 2 steps left. You got times and plus, so you take out the number that's being added. It's negative, so you add 24. That takes that side to 75. Now I divide by 25, divide by 25, so it's going to be 3. That's x. Pay attention to the letter. Now to find the y, go to the equation where the y is by itself, okay? So 3 goes in for x, okay? First you got to take 10 times 3. 10 times 3 is 30, okay? So y equals 30 minus 8. Make that a plus negative. Y is by itself, so you can just punch that into a calculator. 30 plus negative 8, 22. $3.22. Okay, next problem. 4x minus 3y equals 8. 5x minus 2y equals negative 11. Do I have a letter by itself? I don't. There's no base. So if there's no base, you align these up into columns. By the way, you're going to use elimination. Okay, so before you make the columns, you're going to want to go plus negative, plus negative, plus negative. Now, unlike the first problem where we use this method, I don't have the same here or here. So you have to multiply. So go with your x's. You got 5, so you're going to times 5. You got 4, you're going to times 4. So you're going to times the rest of this by 5, and you're going to times the rest of this by 4. So then I've got 20x. Negative 3, 5 times negative 3 is negative 15y. Please put the letter. And then 5 times 8 is 40. Now on bottom. 5 times 4 is 20x. Negative 2y times 4 is negative 8y. And then negative 11 times 4 is negative 44. Now, reset your columns. Right there, you now have the same but you need a positive and a negative. Right now, you have two positives. That does not add to 0 like it needs to. Well, if I make that a negative, it will, but then I got to make the 8 opposite from negative to positive, and the 44 opposite from negative to positive, then I'm good. Okay? 20, and you're always adding these. Okay? 20 plus negative 20 is 0, so 0x. So that can go. Just scribble it out if a variable has a 0. Negative 15 plus 8 is negative 7y. Then 40 and 44 are both positive, so that's just 84. Now you divide each side by negative 7. 84 divided by negative 7 is going to be negative 12. So that's y that we just figured out. Now, you did not have a base variable, so just go with your top equation. 4x plus negative 3y equals 8. Plug the answer in for the right letter, it would be negative 12. So really quickly, this was negative 3 times y. Well, now it's negative 3 times negative 12. That's 36. So now we have 4x plus 36 equals 8. The y is gone. Since the x is not by itself, we need to arrange the equation. So you have times, you minus 36. Minus 36. So 4 times x. 8 minus 36 is going to be negative 28. And you divide each side of that by 4. And x equals negative 7. Okay. 11x minus 7y equals negative 14, and then x equals 2y minus 4. Do you have a base? Circle the equals. Yeah, we have a base right there with x. So there's my base. So we apply the substitution method. So you write your non-base, which is 11x minus 7y equals negative 14. Now whatever the base is, a parenthesis goes to that. In this case it's x. And then 2y minus 4 will replace the x. Plus negative, make that 7 plus negative, and the 14. Okay, so you have 11. And then I open up a parenthesis with 2y plus negative 4. Now, don't just put equals negative 14, because after the parentheses is shut, you still have a plus negative 7y. Then you're equal to the negative 14. Now you apply the distributive property. 11 to 2y and 11 to negative 4. So I drop my plus sign. 11 times 2y is 22y, and 11 times negative 4 is negative 44. Then you add the negative 7y. Okay, so you got y's on the same side. You put that and you add them. You don't times them. You take 22 plus negative 7. That's 15. So we're equal to negative 14. Our variable coefficient is now 15. Then we add the negative 44. We go from there. So we got a times and a plus. So you take out your negative 44 by adding it. Negative 14 plus 44 is 30. And then we have 15 times y. Then you divide by 15. And y equals 2. So y is 2. Now to find the x, use the equation that has x by itself. That would be the most logical way to go. Make that a plus negative, and now put 2 in for y. So it was 2 times y, well now it's 2 times 2. Figure that out, that's 4. So now it says x equals 4 plus negative 4. Now make a wall on the x side, and the x is by itself, so you just plug that into a calculator. Okay? So 4 plus negative 4 is 0. You get 0. Okay, 7x plus 3y equals negative 12, and then 2x plus 5y equals 38. Do you have a letter by itself? No, you don't, so you have to use the elimination method. Do you have the same in your x or y column? No, you don't. Okay, so you're timesing. Times 2 times 7. So the rest of this is times 2, and the rest of this is times 7. So now 2 times 7x is 14x. 2 times 3y is 6y. And then 2 times negative 12 is negative 24. And the bottom, 14x. 5 times 7 is 35y. And then 38 times 7 is going to be 266. Now, remake your columns, because now you have the same right there, but they can't both be this positive, okay? You need one of each. So a negative, and then the 35y turns negative, and the 266 goes from positive to negative, okay? And then you're adding all these. 14 plus negative 14 is 0x. Good, the x is eliminated. Then I take a positive 6 plus a negative 35. That's negative 29y. Then I take a negative 24 plus a negative 266, and that's negative 290. And then I just divide, because it's times, so. And that's going to be 10. So y is equal to 10. Now to find your x, you don't really have the x by itself, so just use the first equation you're given. 7x plus 3y equals negative 12. Remember, that's a negative 12. Now put the 10 in for the y. Now there's a 3 right in front of it, so we got to figure out 3 times 10. That's 30. So we have 7x plus 30 equals negative 12. Now is x by itself? No, it's not. So we need to do our inverse operations. So we got a times and a plus. You subtract. So 7 times x. So negative 12 minus 30 is negative 42. Then you divide by 7. And negative 42 divided by 7 is negative 6. Okay, next one. X equals y plus 3, 2x minus y equals 5. Do you have a letter by itself? Yes, we do. We have a base. So I apply the substitution method. So write out your other equation. 2x minus y equals 5. Now you're going to have big problems if you don't put a 1 there and make it plus negative. Okay? Now the x is the base, so the parentheses goes to the x. And up above it you put y plus 3, 1y plus 3. So we have 2 quantity, 1y plus 3. Now after the parentheses is ended, you have a plus negative 1y. You can't just put equals 5 without adding that negative 1y. Okay? Now you apply the distributive property. Here's a plus. And you drop your plus. 2 times 1y is 2y. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus negative 1y. And now you plus the y's together because they're on the same side. So I write y down and I take 2 plus negative 1. That's 1. Then I add the 6. And now I'm good to solve. So you minus 6. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. And I divide by 1, and y equals negative 1. Okay, now to find the x, use the equation that's got the x by itself. X equals y plus 3. Now I've got the answer for y. Now y does not have a multiplying number in the front. Okay, so I don't need to multiply. It's just -1 plus 3. Now is the x by itself? Sure it is, so I just don't need to do the inverse operations. I just do the -1 plus 3. So 2. Yeah, if that letter's if the letter you're trying to figure out is by itself, you just plug it into your calculator. Okay. If it's not, you got to do the inverse operation things with the wall. Okay, 12x minus 7y equals -2. -8x plus 11y equals 14. Do you have a base? You don't, so you're using elimination rules. Remember, elimination, make those minuses plus negatives. Okay. So you know for sure that those are negatives. I don't think those are the same. I don't think those are the same, so we need to multiply. We're going to multiply by -8 on top. We're going to multiply by 12 on the bottom. So the rest of this is multiplied by -8. The rest of this is multiplied by 12. So I take a -8 times 12. I got -96x. Then I take -8 times -7y. And that's going to be 56y. Then I take -8 times -2, and that's +16. Now on the bottom I take a -8 times 12, and that's -96x. Then I take +11 times 12, and that's 132y. And then I take 14 times 12, and that's going to be 168. Now, try this again. We have the same in the x column, but they can't both be negatives. You need a negative and a positive. Well, now I have it, but then I have to make 132 opposite to negative, 168 opposite to negative, and now I know that my x's will add to 0. Then, in the y column, I take the +56 plus the -132, and that's -76y. And then I take the +16 plus the -168, and I got -152. Now I divide each side by -76, and we get a nice solid answer of 2. So it's y that equals 2. Now to find the x, you don't have the x by itself, so just use the top. You got 12x plus -7y equals -2. So y is 2. It does have a multiplier of -7, so I got to figure that answer out, -14. Not y. Y is not there, it's gone. So we have 12x plus -14 equals -2. Now, is the letter that we need to find by itself? No, it's not. Okay, so you need to put the wall, mark your operations, and use inverse operations. That means get rid of the -14, then divide by 12. So -2 plus 14 is 12, so 12 times x equals 12, and then divide by 12, and 12 divided by 12 is 1.